Shadow character log. Subject, the man who wears the crown. Still the reigning king of the wire in my opinion. Avon Randolph Barksdale. The big dog on the block. Avon is the shot caller, the king of the west side of Baltimore. There is almost no other name that rings out more than Avon Barksdale. The only other name that can rival Avon on the streets is Omar. Avon is a drug kingpin who controls territory in West Baltimore. At first glance, you might be fooled into thinking Avon is your typical hood drug dealer. You would be seriously wrong. Avon Barksdale is wise, intuitive, and ruthless. He rules with an iron grip. Avon as a character is so fascinating. This man is a hardcore gangster and yet can be so humorous at times. You have some of the most serious situations, and the way Avon says things makes it so classic and humorous without even trying. It's true dark humor with him, like the time when he was leaving one of his girlfriend's places and was paranoid out of his mind. When Weebay tries to tell him he is overreacting, he gives Weebay a speech the way only Avon can. The thing is, even how overly cautious Avon was acting, he was right. It seems like he was doing too much to anyone else, but with his situation, Avon is completely justified. Avon and his second-in-command, Russell Stringer Bell, run the drug trade in West Baltimore. Barksdale and Bell is a large organization of drug dealers and enforcers. Avon is one of the most powerful drug dealers in all of Baltimore. And I would still consider Avon to be the main villain of the series. Even when he no longer has an active role in the show, his presence and influence are still felt throughout the series. The Barksdale organization is continually referenced throughout the show. Avon was the blueprint and the goal for most up-and-coming gangsters. Avon has charisma, street smarts, family-oriented, and a sense of street honor. When it comes to the streets, Avon is one of the best strategists. Before the start of the show, it was said Avon went to war for the towers. Avon had the foresight to see that he who controls the towers controls West Baltimore. Not only were the towers the best area for the drug trade, they also were the best defensive position against his enemies. The towers were almost like a fortress. It was known all throughout the streets that trying to run into the towers was a death trap. Even when Avon is speaking more forcefully to people, he uses his words often as a teaching moment. At a basketball game, when the ref made a bad call, Avon got in the ref's face and had the ref scared out of his mind. The ref was even willing to redo the play. Avon informed the ref that he couldn't do that. Avon may be a gangster, but he respects the rules of whatever game he plays. The lesson was to teach the ref to stand up for himself, no matter what.
Avon possesses many strengths. He is a charismatic, intimidating leader, who has unrivaled street smarts and knowledge of the game. The Barksdale organization is run more like a Fortune 500 company than a drug organization, mostly thanks to Stringer. Every member of the Barksdale organization is disciplined to strict rules. These rules keep things running like a well-oiled machine. The rules help Avon's business to stay under the radar of the police. One of the main early rules was no cell phones. They would use pagers. Each pager carrying member of the organization is identified by a number. Avon had his crew use a payphone system. When pages are sent, they are answered with a phone call, no names are used. Sometimes his workers would have to walk blocks to use a different payphone. One of the main keys to Avon's powers was the fact that he stayed insulated from the street activities, and only had interaction with his inner circle. The Barksdale organization had a chain of command that ran like the military. At the top was Avon, then Stringer was number 2, and then Avon's sister Brianna. Below them were lieutenants and enforcers, tower managers, the pit, corner chiefs, and last are the corner boys. The key source to Avon's control and power of West Baltimore's drug trade, the Franklin Terrace Housing Project, and the nearby low-rise project referred to as the pit, often called the towers. As you said, Shadow, Avon is overly paranoid, to the point of it being comical. He has to be in his position. Most of the people around him cannot comprehend the pressure it is to be the king. Stringer is the only one who understands. Avon is all about discipline. That discipline might come from his boxing background. You wouldn't see Avon hanging out, getting high, or using the same payphone back to back. He held true to his rules and expected all his soldiers to as well. No one had easy access to Avon except for Stringer. Avon was talked about like he was Zeus on Mount Olympus throwing down thunderbolts from the safety of his mountain. None of his enemies couldn't even get close most of the time. Avon is what I would call smart paranoid. He moves around the city like he's Batman. He is rarely seen, and when he uses it is only for a few minutes. At Avon's core, he believes in family. Family is the backbone of his beliefs. His sister and nephew are key parts of his organization. He helps raise his nephew D'Angelo and tries to mentor him in the ways of the streets. His sister would probably be number 3 in the organization right after Stringer. She seems to handle most of the money.
Avon has many strengths, but some of those actually work against him. He can be quick-tempered and emotional at times. His knowledge of the game is in his blood, which sometimes can interfere with what would be best for business. Avon is a gangster first before anything else, so his first response to issues would be how a gangster would handle it. Avon won't hesitate to start dropping bodies or sending one of his enforcers to go and deliver a message. It was because of Avon's decision to not just kill one of the stick-up kids who robbed the stash house, but Avon had the robber tortured and put on display. It was that action that unleashed the Barksdale organization's greatest enemy on them, Omar Little. The war with Omar was the biggest mistake that would bring doom to the Barksdale empire. Avon was given advice a few times, to try to make peace with Omar, but the gangster in him wouldn't hear it until it was too late. There was growing tension between him and his nephew, who kept having run-ins with the police, and it was his nephew's actions that caused the Barksdale organizations to be investigated. Because D'Angelo was family, Avon gave him a pass on a lot of things that no one else would get away with. It got to the point where Stringer took it upon himself to do what Avon couldn't, which was the final action that turned Avon and Stringer against each other. As a team, Barksdale and Bell were unstoppable. They were the perfect fusion of a gangster and a businessman. Avon and Stringer are like the Vegito of The Wire. But their weakness was on full display for their enemies. Avon's downfall started when he went kinda off the grid. Any info on the business came only from Stringer. When Avon went to jail, it got worse. String was his only source for all things. He didn't have any conflicting reports, because Stringer would give him fake news.
Avon Barksdale is the standard for The Wire. He is the bar that all are measured against. Truthfully, no one in the show ever truly reached his level. Some have come close but never wore the crown as tightly or as long as Avon did. Hell, Avon never lost the crown, as we see later in the series. Marlowe, the self-proclaimed king, has to come and kiss the ring of Avon while Avon is in jail. Even in jail, Avon is still holding all the cards and pulling the strings. As it was said early in the show, the king stays the king. With all that said, I have to grant Avon Barksdale the highest character rank of iconic. What do some of you think about Avon? Leave a comment. Please like and subscribe. It's back to the shadows. Thanks for watching.